Story 1. I knew the footsteps were not mine. Based on a true American account. I never believed in paranoia. I believed in logic, patterns, explanations. That belief ended the night I realized the footsteps behind me were adjusting to my pace. This happened in October of 2018 in a quiet suburb outside Portland, Oregon. I was 24 at the time, living alone in a small basement apartment beneath an older couple's house. The area was considered safe, tree-lined streets, warm porch lights, and neighbors who waved but never really talked. I worked late shifts at a small printing warehouse downtown. My schedule usually ended around 11:30 p.m., and I walked home because it was only a 20-minute walk, and the bus schedule was unreliable at night. That walk would change everything. The first term I noticed him, I didn't know it was the first time. It was a Tuesday night, cold but not raining. I had my headphones in, music low, just enough to drown out the silence. About halfway home, I became aware of footsteps behind me. Not unusual, people walk. I told myself that and kept moving. The footsteps stayed. I slowed slightly. They slowed too. I stopped completely and pretended to check my phone. The footsteps stopped. When I turned around, no one was there. The street was empty, no cars, no people, just the hum of distant traffic and the soft rustling of leaves. I remember laughing quietly to myself, shaking my head. "Get it together," I muttered. I chalked it up to stress and fatigue. That night, I made it home without incident. The second time was 3 nights later. Same route, same time, same feeling. This time, I didn't have music playing. I heard the footsteps clearly. They were heavy, deliberate, not hurried, but not casual either. The sound of boots against concrete. Each step matched mine perfectly. I told myself not to panic. I crossed the street. The footsteps crossed too. My heart rate picked up. I sped up. So did the footsteps. That's when I made my first real mistake. I turned around. About 30 feet behind me stood a man under a broken streetlight. He was tall, taller than I expected, and dressed in dark clothing, hoodie pulled low, hands in his pockets. He wasn't moving. He was just watching me. We locked eyes for maybe 2 seconds. Then he smiled. It wasn't wide. It wasn't exaggerated. He was small, controlled, like he knew something I didn't. I turned and walked fast, not running, not yet. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me to run, but I forced myself to walk. I'd heard that running could make things worse. Behind me, the footsteps resumed, closer now. I reached my apartment building, rushed inside, and locked the door behind me. I stood there shaking, listening. No footsteps, no knock, nothing. I didn't sleep that night. The third time was when I understood it wasn't coincidence. It was a Sunday evening, earlier than usual, around 9 p.m. I'd gone to the store and was walking back with groceries. I took a different route, a longer one, well lit, busy. I felt safer. Halfway home, I heard the footsteps again. Same rhythm, same distance. I stopped abruptly. The footsteps stopped. I turned around slowly. He was there, closer than before, too close. He tilted his head slightly, as if studying me. I finally spoke. My voice came out weaker than I wanted. "Can I help you?" He didn't answer. He took 1 step forward. I took 1 step back. He smiled again, that same knowing smile. I ran. I didn't look back. I ran until my lungs burned and my vision blurred. I burst into my apartment, slammed the door, locked it, and collapsed on the floor. This time, there was a knock. Soft, polite. 3 taps. I held my breath. Another knock. "I know you're in there," a man's voice said calmly.
I crawled into my bathroom and called 911 with shaking hands. While I waited, I heard him outside my door, talking. Not yelling, just talking, like he was having a conversation with himself. The police arrived within minutes. By the time they searched the area, he was gone. No one was caught. But it didn't end there. For weeks afterwards, I found signs, footprints near my window, a handprint on the glass. Once, a note slipped under my door with no writing, just a smiley face. I moved out 2 months later. The police never found him. But sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet, I still hear footsteps matching mine.
Story 2. He followed me for 3 weeks. I never knew his face. Based on a true American account. People think being followed means footsteps behind you, heavy breathing, a shadow at the end of the street. But the worst kind of following is quiet, the kind you don't notice at first. This happened to me in 2016 when I was living in Tempe, Arizona. I was 21 years old, a full-time college student working nights at a 24-hour diner just off the highway. My shifts ended at 2 a.m., sometimes later on weekends. I didn't own a car. I walked. It was a 15-minute walk back to my apartment complex. Straight road, bright streetlights, gas stations still open. I felt safe enough. At least, I thought I did. The first week, nothing stood out. I noticed the same guy a few times, but I didn't think anything of it. He sat at the counter some nights, drinking coffee, never ordering food. He never spoke to anyone, just stared at his cup or the TV mounted on the wall. That's not unusual at a diner. The first thing that bothered me wasn't his presence, it was his timing. Every time I clocked out, he stood up within a minute. Not immediately, not obviously, just close enough to feel intentional. I told myself I was imagining it. The second week, I started seeing him outside of work, once at a grocery store, once at a bus stop near campus, once standing across the street from my apartment complex pretending to be on his phone. That's when the feeling started, that cold pressure in your chest that logic can't explain. I changed my routine, different streets, different times. Sometimes I waited an extra half hour before leaving work. Sometimes I asked a coworker to walk part of the way with me. He still appeared, always at a distance, never close enough to confront, never far enough to dismiss. I never saw his face clearly. He wore a baseball cap pulled low and a jacket even when it was warm. He moved slowly, casually, like he had nowhere to be. One night, halfway home, I stopped suddenly. I bent down like I was tying my shoe. In the reflection of a parked car, I saw him stop too. He didn't turn away, he didn't pretend. He just stood there staring directly at me, through the reflection. That's when I knew. This wasn't coincidence. I went home and locked every door and window. That night, I dreamed someone was standing at the foot of my bed, whispering my name. The third week was when things escalated. I found a receipt on my doorstep, from the diner, from my shift the night before. It wasn't mine. I knew because the total was wrong. On the back, written in neat, careful handwriting, were 4 words. You walk very quietly. I didn't call the police. I don't know why. Fear makes you stupid. The next night, I took a longer route home. More turns, more lights. I kept my phone in my hand, pretending to talk. Halfway there, I felt it, that presence. I didn't hear footsteps. I felt watched. I crossed the street. So did he. I ducked into a convenience store and waited 10 minutes. When I came back out, he was leaning against a light pole across the street, waiting. I finally spoke. Stop following me. My voice shook. He smiled, not wide,
not angry, just satisfied. He took one step forward. I ran. I didn't stop until I reached my apartment. I slammed the door shut and collapsed against it, gasping for air. A few seconds later, someone tried the handle. Once, twice, slow, testing. Then came the knocking, soft, rhythmic, like he was being polite. "I just want to talk," a man's voice said through the door. I didn't answer. "I've been very patient," he continued. "You never look back." I backed away, heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. "I like that," he said softly. I called 911. While I waited, he spoke, not shouting, not threatening, just talking about my schedule, about my job, about the nights I took longer to walk home. "You should lock your window better," he added casually. When the police arrived, he was gone. They found nothing. No cameras caught him clearly, no fingerprints, no witnesses. I quit my job the next day, moved back in with my parents a week later. Months passed. I thought it was over. Then, one night, my mom handed me the mail. Inside was an envelope, no return address. Inside, a single piece of paper. 4 words. "You walk very quietly." I never found out who he was, but I still don't walk alone at night, and I always look back now.
Story 3. I thought I was being paranoid until he proved me right. There's a moment when fear stops feeling traumatic and starts feeling mathematical. You begin counting steps, distances, time. That's when you know something is wrong. This happened in late 2014 in a small town outside Columbus, Ohio. The kind of town where nothing ever really happens. One main street, 2 grocery stores, a movie theater that still smelled like the 90s. I was 27 years old, recently divorced, living alone in a narrow townhouse at the edge of town. I worked as a delivery coordinator for a medical supply company, which meant long hours and late drives. I didn't think much about safety. I should have. The first sign was so small I almost missed it. I noticed a car, a dark-colored sedan, older model, nothing special. I saw it parked across the street from my house one night when I got home around 10 p.m. I remember noticing because its engine was running, headlights off. Someone was sitting inside. I assumed they were waiting for someone. The next night, the same car was there, same spot, engine running, headlights off. This time, when I got out of my car, the engine shut off. That's when the feeling started, that quiet pressure at the base of your skull. The third night, the car wasn't there. I felt relieved, too relieved. A week later, I saw it again, this time not parked, driving, slowly, behind me. I was on my way home from work, 2 turns away from my street. I noticed the car because it didn't pass me, even though the road was empty. Every turn I made, it followed. I turned into my neighborhood, so did the car. I pulled into my driveway, the car slowed, then kept going. I sat in my car for a full minute before going inside. I told myself it meant nothing. That was my biggest mistake. Over the next 2 weeks, I began seeing the car everywhere, at the grocery store, parked down the block from my office, once idling near the gas station while I pumped gas. I never saw the driver clearly. The windows were tinted, too dark. I started changing my routes, different streets, different times. The car still appeared, always at a distance, always quiet, never aggressive. That was the worst part. One night, I decided to test it. I drove past my house, kept going. The car followed. I made a sudden U-turn, so did it. My hands were shaking. I pulled into a police station parking lot. The car drove past me, slowly. The driver turned his head as he passed. For just a second, I saw his face, expressionless,
empty, like I wasn't a person, just an object. That night, I checked every lock twice. I slept with the lights on. A few days later, things escalated. I found a note tucked under my windshield wiper at work. Plain white paper, folded neatly, no envelope. 4 words written in block letters. You missed a turn. My blood ran cold. I hadn't told anyone about the car. I hadn't written anything down. I called the police. They took a report. They told me there was nothing they could do unless the person threatened me directly. I asked about cameras. They said none had caught the license plate clearly. The following week, I started finding things moved inside my house. Not stolen, moved. A chair slightly out of place, a cabinet left open, the bathroom window unlocked. I convinced myself I was forgetting. Stress can do that. Then I found the door, unlocked. I knew I had locked it. I stood in the hallway, barely breathing, listening. Nothing, no sounds, no movement. I checked every room, empty. That night, I slept with a knife on my nightstand. At 3:17 a.m., I heard footsteps downstairs, slow, measured, like someone who knew the layout. I froze. Every instinct told me not to move. The footsteps stopped at the bottom of the stairs. I could feel someone standing there, listening, waiting. I didn't breathe. Minutes passed. Then I heard the front door open and close. I called the police again. They found no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, nothing. The following week, I came home to find the car parked in my driveway, engine running, headlights off. I didn't pull in. I stayed on the street, heart pounding, staring at it. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out, tall, thin, wearing dark clothes. He looked at me and smiled. Not wide, not angry, just calm, like this was always going to happen. He took one step toward me. I drove away. I didn't stop until I reached my sister's house 2 towns over. I stayed there for weeks. I thought it was over. I put my house up for sale, moved, changed my number, changed my routine. 6 months later, I received a package. No return address. Inside was a USB drive. Against my better judgment, I plugged it in. There was one video file, grainy, black and white. It showed my old house, my driveway. The camera angle was from across the street. The timestamp was from the night before. The car was visible, idling. At the end of the video, the camera turned slightly toward the house, toward the front door. A caption appeared on the screen. You are very hard to follow now. I threw the laptop across the room. I never heard from him again. But sometimes when I'm driving late at night, I see a dark sedan in my mirror, keeping its distance, matching my turns, and I start counting again. Steps, distances, time.